1 Square Mile, Heritage on Our Doorstep, is a 2-year project to explore, discover, find out things about the city that we live in. It should be accessible for children from a children's perspective, because we have such a rich heritage here in Colchester that sometimes we just walk by. It's more appropriate now because we're coming up to St John's Green Primary School's 125th year, and we thought about having a party or selling some mugs. Could we broaden out, rather than just a party with a few mugs, could we broaden that out to be much more of a celebration, a commemoration, making something more tangible and more lasting? So 1 Square Mile Heritage on Our Doorstep gives us the opportunity to put in place a legacy for future children. We thought we might apply for some funding, little pockets of funding, but we applied to the National Heritage Lottery Fund. And when we heard last July that we had been awarded £62,000 to extend our project into something really, really worthwhile, it was very exciting. And then we had to start thinking, oh gosh, what do we do now? Well, we've already started. The first bit was what you could say, is it the boring bit, the planning bit? Who do we need to make contacts with? We have a fantastic project manager in Laura Davison, who's been able to get all the people together, all the experts together, that the school just hasn't got the time to do. So she's been our real conduit to the experts who can give us the guidance in how to go about things. And of course, we're not just looking at the history, we're looking at art opportunities, geographical opportunities. So we're trying to weave this out into the whole of our curriculum. So there's lots of things we can do with literacy or maths. And so it's not just a history lesson that's Colchester local interest, but actually we're weaving in aspects of other parts of the town life.
It wouldn't have been as successful as it's been so far without the support that we've had from organisations that I think we were maybe aware may have existed, but in actual fact have been so useful coming forward in supporting the school and adding their expertise for our teachers and our staff.
St John's Green School has all of its records here on its site, which is really rare to have that. So this included like logbooks and admission registers. And so that tells the story of the school over its 125-year history. Our aim through the project is to make that collection properly managed. It's all archived, the collection is indexed, it's all stored properly and cared for.
There is a 100-year rule. So once the document is older than 100 years, that's something that can be accessed. Where they will go eventually is to the Archives, the Essex Record Office, and that means that anybody who is interested in researching from them can have access to them, but it is also the place where they can be best looked after.
So I've got here one of the early admission registers of St John's Green School, which we're going to check for conservation issues with it. As you can see, it's beautifully boxed up here, which is exactly the right thing to do. But there's quite a bit of damage along the spine, which we'll need to be very careful of when we're digitising it. When we have completed photographing the entire of this admission register, we will take it back and put it in the archive standard box that has been prepared for it here. And once we have completed all of the registers in each box, these then get placed in our store, which is all correct to current humidity and temperature standards, which is important for the long-term preservation of the records.
At the moment, we're just starting out upskilling our teachers, because everyone thinks teachers are experts, but actually teachers don't know everything there is to know.
All of the teachers are practicing their skills so that we can hopefully apply them in lessons and teach the children to further develop their skills and to develop their proficiency in sketching. So currently we're drawing St John's Abbey, the Abbey Gate, and we'll be taking this back into class and then showing the children what we've achieved and then getting them to come out on trips and find different landmarks around Colchester so that they can then apply the skills that we've learnt, hopefully.
We're looking at the castle and how the lines of perspective change depending on our viewpoint, and how things decrease in size as they get further away from us. We're also looking at the brickwork and the detail and the size of one feature compared with another. So we're sort of looking at proportion and the size of one thing compared to another.
I tried to do a perspective from over here.
Yeah.
So I get the whole building, and then I've done the little stones on the path, and I have shaded in the bottom and the other side of the walls.
It was a bit hard to do the perspectives and the angles.
Is this the first time you've been bothered with perspective and angles?
Yeah, one of the first times.
And how do you think you got on?
I think I did pretty well.
The foundations of the project are about researching the heritage sites in Colchester, and each teacher will take that on in their own way and make the project their own. So they might involve geography, they might involve art, maths, DT, as well as history. So it can be totally cross-curricular. When we work with the artist, obviously that fits into art, but it fits into the DT curriculum. It fitted into maths because it was so much about looking at shapes and making things fit, and geometry. So there's so much cross-curricular.
We have triangles, we have squares, we have circles, we have arches, we have cuboids, we have square base pyramids.
One of our project supporters is Colchester Archaeological Trust, and they've helped us to learn about how to look at objects from the past and use them in the classroom.
I'm here just to engage children with archaeology, really. So earlier I gave a presentation, and right now we're doing object handling tables to give children a hands-on experience with the past, allowing them to handle objects that were actually excavated here before the school was built. Bringing children in at a young age, giving them an understanding of their local area can only be beneficial, and as a child I would have loved this.
The coin that I saw over there, that was found in a skeleton's mouth to take to the afterlife. So we're taking things from people's afterlife, hoping that they've made it into the afterlife.
The barracks is really significant to the whole project because Colchester has always been a garrison town. That we've been able to have children go up and take part in events that they wouldn't be able to take part in. So access to the garrison base.
Imagine 28 of me in here, yeah? With equipment on, with a parachute on. Not a lot of space, is there? And you've got a 5-man crew. But during the war, guys, people were a lot smaller than we are now.
Stand fair, but look over your shoulder. That's it.
I did one, that's fine.
Yeah, well, what's this called again? It's an iconic piece of uniform, probably the most important piece of uniform, the airborne forces. Okay. There's a little photograph for you.
I've liked learning about people's military experience and what happened throughout history. Like, some things were really cool and I didn't really know that they used it, like the 3D printer and all the mechanical stuff.
What we're hoping to do is record some people probably from about the 1940s up until the 1980s. And we've already run 2 training sessions. This is the 3rd one we're doing this evening, telling them about some of the key points about how to record successfully. And this is still a learning process, and some of them will find it a little bit tricky, but they're doing fantastically well.
Could you just tell me a little bit about you, including your name and your date of birth and how old were you when you started school?
We've already gathered together a group of people who we'd like to interview. Some of them were here during the Second World War. We're going to interview some pupils and some teachers, the headmaster, the caretaker, you know, as many people as we can get. And they will go out into their homes, or they'll maybe come into the school and do these recordings. And they will then be put onto the archive and hopefully eventually shared with as many people as possible.
First headmaster of St John's Green Primary School was Mr Cheese. I dressed up as Mr Cheese because we were celebrating the school's opening from 125 years ago, and it seemed rather fitting that we tried to reenact in some way, means or form, as best as we could, Mr Cheese's first sort of words to the children in a way that gave the children a little bit of a taste of what it might have been like to have had a head teacher like Mr Cheese.
My name is Mr Cheese and I am your head teacher.
Some of the children couldn't quite equate to me dressed in like a morning suit with a black tie and high collar. Obviously, I had a moustache because Mr Cheese had a moustache as well, and my assembly was very severe. My expectations were high with regards to the way I spoke. So some children found it quite amusing. Some children found it quite worrying, in a way quite stressful, and we had to pre-warn them. Some of the children, I think, were probably just quite bewildered by the whole experience and just trying to work out exactly what was going on.
I am proud of our school and I want each and every one of you to have pride in it as well. We are all anxious that it should not be just a successful and popular school, but a great power for good in our neighbourhood. All must think that for them St John's Green School is the best school anywhere, not only in Colchester, but in England or the world.
School taking part in the Heritage Open Day was possibly one of the more exciting things, because it's the first time the school's actually been open as part of the Heritage Open Day. And it gave an opportunity for ex-pupils, and there are lots of ex-pupils who sort of living around, to come back and to have a look at the school, to reminisce about the school. You know, this is a Grade 2 listed building. You walk around the school, and if you go into the roof, the guttering is an open guttering that flows internally. So when it rains, you can watch the rainwater whiz through the roof. And you go down into the cellar where the old coal and scuttle chute used to be, and you can disappear under the school. You've got the original cladding around, where you've got the original red brick tiles when the school was first built. And then you can imagine, just by looking in the classrooms, because we've got the photographs of, you know, classrooms now where we have 30 children, where the teachers would have had 60 plus children sat nicely in rows. You know, when you talk about Heritage Open Days, it gives people an opportunity to come in and to reminisce.
Absolutely beautiful to come and see the place, how it feels like it was.
My connection to today's visit was my mum was a former pupil, and walking in I was amazed to see you'd got the Charles Debenham paintings, and they are masterpieces, so I've enjoyed seeing them. And the young lad took me for a wonderful tour around the school, and I can't believe how many pupils are able to be educated in such a fine building. So yeah, wonderful experience.
I would say that a project like this is never solely about history. History is the driving force behind it, because it is 1 square mile history on our doorstep, 125 years of St John's Green. But A curriculum that focuses only on one subject doesn't allow for natural links, doesn't allow for natural development, doesn't allow for children to fully learn.
During the project's life, we're going to gather an awful lot of material, and we could be very selfish and keep that all to ourselves, but that would be such a waste of the research that we do. And actually, part of the funding agreement is we make it available to everyone else, and everyone else being other schools or interested people. So we are developing a website alongside the project, which is going to be a digital representation of the 50 local landmarks and everything that we've discovered within that 1 square mile, which will have overlays where it will be point and click, and there'll be lots more interesting information, and some of the work that the children have produced alongside their research, their paintings, their artistry, their artefacts that they've created.
So the legacy of this project is that the school has rewritten its history curriculum, and that will be available for teachers to use forever now. And it will also be available on our project website, and any school can download those resources and those history topics and use within their classroom.
You know, this is about the 630 children that we've got in the school, the 100 odd staff that we employ, and it's bigger than that because we've got all these volunteers that are helping us bring it together. And in actual fact, when the website all comes online, we've got this whole resource about Colchester, about the history going out to everyone. So what is the legacy of the project is not just a quote from a child, it's actually the legacy is what we give to the children to take with them about Colchester and about the history of Colchester, but it's also about the legacy that we give to other local schools, other local groups. What are they going to learn, and how are they going to utilise the resource that we've put together?
One of the unexpected outcomes of the project was a new school song. In the archive and in the logbooks, we knew there was a school song, but we never found it and we never heard it. And the music teacher, Claire Rowe, wrote a new school song using the school archive. And the children have all sung it. 630 children know that song and have sung it. And that will go on the film and on the website. And so that's a real true legacy of this project and the research of the archive.